Hi scrapbookers! I did not have a lot of time this weekend to work on the stuff for the virtual crop that's happening right now. And so it's Monday morning and I'm recording the layouts that I'm going to make based on the virtual crop sketches today. For the virtual crops with creative memories, you have to be part of the Facebook group to participate in the challenges and potentially win some prizes, but you can get the sketches and follow along with the ideas just from the stuff that's posted on the Creative Memories blog. If you need any supplies for your scrapbooking projects or have questions about tools and things, feel free to get in touch with me. You can also reach out to your Creative Memories advisor if you already have one, or find one locally near you on the Creative Memories website. If you are here in Northern Utah, I'd love to have you join one of our crops. We're not cropping in December of 2023, but we will start cropping again the last weekend of each month, usually in January. So we're working on sketch number 4 right now. Sketch number 4 is a 2-page layout for 12-inch pages. You could modify these really in any way that makes sense to you for the project you're working on, or maybe the size of project you have. But I am going to be working on 12 by 12 pages, and I'm using the Christmas Cheer collection for this one. Plus I have a couple just random border stickers that I pulled out because I wanted to bring in more navy blue. So the sketch shows basically a big wide border on the left side and kind of a framed area on the right side. And I need to grab one more piece of paper because I realized I didn't put it in the stack yet. I think I have it just off to the side. Yes. Okay. So Christmas cheer, I've got some navy blue cardstock that I'm going to use as my backgrounds. I've got a couple different sheets of paper that I'll use for parts of the layout, and then some stickers as well. Set those aside because we're going to do those last. And I grabbed my border punch that's the Floral Peaks. So this came out with the Painted Garden collection in the spring last year, or I guess this past year. But I felt like the design, even though it's called Floral Peaks, really could be just a decorative border for a Christmassy page. So I grabbed it to use with this one. Got my repositionable adhesive and some foam squares that I'll probably use for some of the stickers. And we're starting off, navy blue cardstock will be my background on both sides. I'm just going to set that aside because I'm not ready to attach anything yet, and I'm not going to do any cutting on those. But I'm going to start off by cutting these pieces for the right hand page. So the first is a square. I'm going from top to bottom basically. There's a square that's going to be a background for all my photos, and I'm just going to do that with white cardstock. And I'm going to cut this by gutting it because I want to use this piece for another layout. I'm working backwards on the sketches, so instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction. And I want an 8.5 inch square. Which means three and a half inches basically extra. So if you were going to just cut this and not gut it like I'm going to do, you could just line up at 3.5 inches and cut your 12-inch sheet to 8.5 by 8.5. But I am going to line up at, let's say, I'm going to actually go at 1.5 inches in and do my gutting from that point. Just rotate. Oh, that was 2.5 inches. Huh. That's okay. Okay. So I'll have to get a little creative with this, or just go get another piece of paper. Since I cut it at I cut it wider than I meant to. But that's okay. So to make sure this is going to be 8.5, we're going to go just 1 inch here, which I think still gives me plenty of space for my square I'm going to use on the other page. I just need to cut that piece a little bit bigger, or a little longer on that side. Okay. These ones just need a little trim. But on this other side I need quite a bit more. So I'll line that one up again. There we go. And then I'll have this set aside for another layout I'm working on later. But this is now an 8.5 by 8.5 inch square, or at least should be. Let me double check. Yep, my dimensions look good. Just clean up those two little corners. So this is going to be basically a big mat for the 4 photos that would be 3.5 inch squares. And then under this, you're cutting also a 9-inch square of, I'm going to do a decorative paper, and I'm going to do it with one of the decorative blades for the trimmer as well. So I'm going to use this kind of multicolored Christmas plaid. I like this one a lot from the Christmas Cheer collection. We have a lot of options to choose from. You could also use one of the frame punches if you wanted to do something a little more decorative around the outside of that. When you're using the frame punches, you line it up for, you would cut your square in 2-inch increments, and then it punches off about 1 inch total when it makes the design. So if you wanted a 9 by 9 inch square, you would start with a 10 by 10 inch and then punch with your frame. I think I'm going to use the scallop, but as I'm considering this, maybe this is a terrible idea to just do like on the fly. Actually, yeah. So I was considering trying to use this in the way that a frame punch works and just figuring out the measurements. I will do that some other time, but looking at this paper, it's pretty busy already, so to do kind of a busy punch for that, I don't think that'll look very nice. So I'm going to just use my scallop punch. Or if you wanted something like a little more rustic, the Victorian and Decal are nice. The wave is a little bit more, I don't know, smaller. I changed my mind. I'm going to use the stamping blade. The stamping blade is possibly my favorite of the decorative blades. You have to be a little careful with it just because it kind of does have a direction. So one way it's going to be like the bumps, the bigger bumps out versus the smaller ones in, or vice versa. So when you're cutting your paper, you just need to make sure you're cutting it in the same direction each time, if that makes some sense. I don't know, maybe that doesn't make sense to say that way, but I'll show you what I mean. So where I want the kind of design to look the same on all sides of this square that I'm going to cut out, I'm lining it up at 9 inches. And so I'll just have some extra. So my blade, the stamping blade cuts a little bit of a kind of a scallop, but you don't want to cut some of your pages, some of your sides with this edge design that's the scallops kind of in, and one like a different side with them going out. So we would just want to make sure we're always rotating our paper to cut on the same side of the blade. And we'll cut this to 9 inches as well. So if you're just doing a square, at this point you would be done if you're just using the straight blade. But now I want to make the same little pattern design on the other sides of my paper. It looks like I didn't quite didn't have my paper scooted over quite far enough. I'm gonna go a little bit more, which means my paper will be just a tiny bit smaller. But then I've got the full design out to the edge instead of having like a little nub that didn't quite get cut off. Just lining that up and making sure it's going to cut the whole pattern out just a tiny bit extra, maybe even a little more, so I don't make the same mistake I did on the other side. That was plenty. Okay, so here's my second background. If you wanted to gut out the center of this to reuse this paper somewhere else, in fact, maybe we will, because we're going to do a 4x6 photo mat, or a mat for a 4x6 photo, and I might want it to match this paper over here. So just so I have that option, I am going to gut that paper and make sure I swap out my blade before I do that. I may want to cut the edges, but may not. I don't want to commit to that yet. So this 8.5 by 11 paper is going to cover up the majority of this patterned background that we just cut out. So we can gut it pretty large. I don't want to go all the way to the edge, but let's give ourselves like 3/4 of an inch on the outside. So I'm just lining up with the 3/4 inch line on this right side of my trimmer with the straight cutting blade. Cut out the extra that is going to get covered up on the paper. When you are gutting, you want to make sure that you're giving your page enough stability. If you're going straight down onto an album page into one of your Creative Memories albums, this is not a problem at all. You can just adhere everything down and you've got the stability kind of built in. But if you're working on a background paper and you're gutting your background paper, you need to make sure to have enough places to adhere your gutted pieces. Okay, so that's some extra that we'll probably use as a photo background on the other side. And I'm going to go ahead and put these onto their background, and this page will essentially be done. We just want to center this first layer of the background, and then on top of that, center the next layer. And I did notice with just how the pattern lined up that I had one where you can see all the X's and two sides where you really can't. So I'm going to put that toward the bottom because to me that just looks more like it would be the bottom of the page. Right now we could still rotate everything around, but that's what I will look for as I finish my page and start putting stuff on it that has a definite direction. This is my repositionable adhesive. And you could use regular adhesive as well. If you want to get real picky about lining it up, you could cut a measured piece or line it up on your trimmer or your mat and make sure you're getting the right amount of space between all of your borders. So where this is about 9 inches, you're going to want 1.5 inches up here and 1.5 inches at the bottom, like 1.5 inches on each side. So there's where the 1.5 inches is. And it looks like actually we're a little shy on this in this direction. Lift it up just a little more. And then should have it about the same on this side now that we've lined it up. Oh, and I did make my page just a tiny bit smaller with the way that I cut it, a tiny bit smaller than 9 inches. I actually need a little bit more space in all the directions. Anyway, if you had like a little 1.5 inch wide strip of paper, maybe a scrap from something else you're using, or if you want to just make yourself some little guides that help with placement. Sometimes I do that, especially if I'm trying to be real fussy with spacing and placement, just to have like some strips cut out to help me get things in the right places. And then here's our 8.5 by 11 white piece that's going to go on the top here. When you're thinking of photo backgrounds, especially if you don't know yet what your photos are going to be for a layout, neutral colors work really well. White is a good offset for most photos. Black is good. And then there's lots of other neutral options, or even if you're doing, like if you were doing a lot of pattern papers, you might want your photos to be all matted on a plain cardstock, or vice versa. But sometimes just know that the pattern gets a little bit lost as it hides behind your photos. So that's our right-hand page for this layout. And now we're going to cut out the pieces for the left page. And the majority of this is this border. So I grabbed a piece of this candy cane stripe from Christmas Cheer, and the width of the large piece is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this to that size. So that's going to be the first part of our border. I am going to use a sticker for what's represented with these little white circles, that part of the border. And then I wanted to do the floral peaks punch for this other layer of border that's just kind of along the edge. And so I was debating, like, do I want to use this candy cane piece that's on this side? Maybe I want something that's white polka dotty like this, that's a little less bold of a pattern. I could also use this piece that we cut off from the other side, and it's got this nice red plaid. So what I'm thinking about now is just how busy this punch is, which is, it's pretty busy. It's not just like an edge, but it's actually going to cut out a bunch of these floral kind of shapes. So the words are probably not going to work real well with that. The little candy canes would probably be fine. This one is pretty mild, nothing very noticeable about it as far as like no pattern that's going to look really like it clashes with this. And the plaid might work okay, but it might clash with the florals. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll punch one or two because I do kind of like the plaid. I like the idea of the red over here, and where I'm gonna layer it with one of these navy borders. I like the red. It might also be fun just to use this edge. So this is the opposite side of the stamp, the stamping blade. And I don't know if you can see that, but this is what to me looks more like the edge of a stamp, where it's perforated and torn, like an old-fashioned stamp. And that might be fun just as a layer on the border to have that texture there. But yeah, let's try the floral peaks with this red plaid, just the back side of the paper we put on the right hand side. And with this punch, it doesn't matter where you start, and you can go right and left. I'm actually going to start so that my pattern hits a certain spot on the flower at the top. But you can line this up whichever direction you like, and then go right or left. You just want to make sure your pattern is matching up with the design printed on the little plates on both sides. And because this one does have kind of a duplicated pattern, you want to watch for this little triangle that's cut out of the top, because there's several places in the design that look like they could line up. But to get your pattern continuous, you'll have to make sure the top little scrap edge is lining up as well, because that shows you how far over you really need to go. Otherwise, you might go too far or not far enough when you punch your next piece. Okay, and if you didn't see that on the punch, Here's the little scrap that punches from the edge as you're going. It has this little triangle, and you want to line it up every time it comes out with the triangle in the plate design. And that is on both sides, so you can go either direction. We've got these little scraps. I don't think we'll use them for anything, but you could use them to put together some poinsettias or something. But that looks pretty, and it doesn't actually get crazy with the plaid, so I think we'll use that. I like that design. I could even leave the stamping blade design on this side as well if I wanted to keep that there. In the layout, the suggestion for the photos in this layout, we've got our squares over here, then we've got a big wide space for 4x6 photos on this page on the left, and then a tall space for another one with a mat. And you don't have to lay your pictures out exactly that way, but I am going to cut the mat to go with this section. So let's lay out this border and attach it. And I think I'll trim this and save a section of this paper for something else another time. The size of the border in the example says to cut 1 inch wide. 1 inch barely gets me the design from this punch, so I'm actually going to go bigger. I'm going to go 1.5 inches, meaning I'm measuring the edge of my design that I've just punched out along this 1.5 inch line. And then I've got to decide which of these navy blue sticker borders I want to use. These both come from another collection. In fact, I think it's something that's not available anymore, but I can't remember if it's the Totally Tonal Autumn, Totally Tonal Fall, something like that, that came out about a year ago, a little more than a year ago. And I just thought the navy would be fun to pull into this. If you have the Christmas Cheer accessory paper pack, that one had a lot of blue in it and had a lot of like coordinating patterns with navy. That pack sold out really quickly. It was really fun. It was a smaller pack, a package of 6 printed papers instead of the full-size packs that usually have 12 pages in them. But it had some plaids and other things that did have some of the red and green and gold from this Christmas Cheer collection, but also had a lot of blue. All the pages featured blue. All of the designs. Okay, just rubbing off a little bit of that extra repositionable adhesive from some places it doesn't need to be. And then debating, do I want this little bitty kind of circle border? I think that's really cute, or something a little more scrolly, and maybe that would go this other way. That's kind of fun. I think I'll do that. Big scroll navy border. And I like that this set came with 2 of each border. In fact, for the Christmas Cheer collection, the sticker pack also has a sheet of border stickers, and that one it was all in pairs. So that's really nice if you want to have matching borders on 2 pages, or a large border that goes across the bottom or top of your 2 pages. Some of the collections come with just 1 of some or all of the border stickers, and not all collections have border stickers like this. But I do like when they're made with 2, because a lot of times that's how we want to use them. Okay, I'm gonna line mine up so the little crossed loop section comes to the seam of these 2 papers, and it kind of crosses over both. I think that's really cute on here. And then if I wanted to, I could bring this in on the other side, on the right hand page. But gosh, I think that turned out super cute. I really like that one. It was a little delicate pulling it off the page, off the sticker strip, but it turned out so cute. I like that a lot. Okay, now we're gonna cut out our 4x6 or our mat for the 4x6 photo, which is going to be 4.5 by 6.5. If you like your photo mats a little smaller or larger, you could adjust that size. But we've got plenty of paper from this piece we cut out, gutting from the other section we were using. I cut the 6.5 direction first. I don't know why, but my brain just really doesn't want to cut the small one on the first part. So there's 6.5, and then we want 4.5 for the other direction. Let me just see where, so if I were to go down 1/4 of an inch, that's 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch. Oh, whoops. I actually did cut this 6 1/4. So I'll match it up. So this will be 4 1/4. And to be honest, I think I tend to prefer the slightly smaller photo mats, just 1/4 inch bigger than my photos versus 1/2 inch or more. But it really depends on the look you're going for and if you're going to do multiple layers of backgrounds for your photos. Obviously, you're going to go more, more on some of them and less on others. Let me get this out of the way. Sorry about the weird sunlight. I'm adjusting to the winter sun direction in this room that I record my videos. And I'm working on getting another space set up where I can record videos with some better lighting. So that'll be nice once I get that all set up. But right now I've got sunlight coming in a different direction that I'm used to, and so I'm getting some weird sun. So this photo mat will just go over here, and then we've got some of both of these colors on both sides. I do like to bring in my patterns on both sides, so when I do some of my embellishing, I will probably use the same patterns for some of those embellishments over here. I'll just attach my repositionable adhesive on this side for my photo. And I don't have photos printed yet. We did finally take some Christmas photos with our baby. So I have some, I just haven't printed them. But I have some things in mind that could go on these pages or some others. And I thought I'd look at some of the stickers. I did want to bring in a lot more navy on this, so I was looking at some of the navy blue stickers. We've got this nutcracker, we've got some presents with navy. The tree, it's really pretty. It has more, like a little bit of navy in some of the presents. The nuts about Christmas words. Also, I'm not totally sure if that's navy or black, but best time of the year, that's cute. And then this Farm Fresh tree has some navy. I think Merry Christmas here is also printed in navy. I'm kind of thinking big Christmas tree down here. And maybe I won't do any other embellishments. I'll just do my big Christmas tree. This will be a good page to put some Christmas morning photos on, or just some pictures taken with the Christmas tree. We did get our Christmas tree put up, which was nice. My husband did that kind of as a surprise this past weekend. We've both been very occupied with the baby and haven't been thinking too much about things like holiday decorations or presents or anything like that, really. So when I came home on Saturday, I found that he had put up the tree, and that was nice. It's all shiny in our front window. Okay, and I just covered up this middle part of the sticky sticker because I don't want it to stick itself down in a spot that'll make it look warped. We can do a big Christmas tree sticker right here. That'll be cute. maybe some presents on the other page to just kind of mimic that. The idea of the Christmas tree and gifts. And I don't want to cover up too much over here because I do want to leave a lot of space for photos. But maybe I can just do, in fact, maybe I'll kind of line it up with my Christmas tree down here. And then put some other things above it as a cluster to kind of link it to this photo that's going to be up above. And I just have a sheet of the big foam squares. I'm still working through the last of my original foam squares from Creative Memories. The design, well, I don't know if I should say design. The sizes of foam squares that come in the packs was changed this year to give us some more variety, which is really nice. But I still have a few packs of the older type that just have large and small. And so that's what I'm working with today. But the new foam squares are essentially the same as far as how they work. They just have more sizes, smaller and larger, and the kind of a medium in between. So let's do some Merry Christmas right here. Just make that little sticker right next to that. Now I want something to just like connect right here. This little "A Gift for You" sticker would be good, and I've got it in green or gold. So let's see what that looks like. Don't love the gold. It just kind of blends into that bow at the top of that other sticker that's right above it. I do like the gold. It just ends up not looking great right above that spot. And then I feel like I just need something a little more. Do I like the little stars? Maybe I would put these other gifts other places on this page. I do like the stars, but they're not quite the right colors for right there. Although, I don't know, maybe a gold star just a little bit down farther below. So many options. And then there's the more like Christmas star design, although that I think would be better at the top of a page, maybe even the top of this page. We'll see when I put my pictures on if that's a good fit. Maybe some of these little peppermint circles. I don't know. Okay, I will probably add some stuff to this, but right now nothing is seeming like the right thing just yet. And that looks like a nice little cluster. And then we've got our Christmas tree that is kind of a big sticker and a cluster on its own. I haven't added a title per se. Maybe Christmas cheer up here would be a good title. Maybe Merry Christmas. We've already got Merry Christmas down here. I think I will save the title for maybe some ABC stickers or something else. And so I'm going to call that for now done until I get some pictures on here and then know exactly what I want to have happen. I will take a picture of this layout and post it on my Facebook page and probably to the virtual crop group as well. So to participate in the challenges for the virtual crop, you have to post a picture of your finished layouts and use the hashtag that goes along with that layout. So this one is CM Virtual Crop for December 2023. So the 4 is the sketch number, and that'll be different in each of them. The rest of the text for the hashtag is the same. All right, I hope you enjoyed that layout, and come back and watch my other layouts a little bit later. Thanks.